Alright, what's going on everyone? Today we're going to be talking about Ikoria. I want to talk about this set because it's genuinely the most excited I've been for a set in a long time. So if you're familiar with it, the idea is that it's a giant monster set. The subtitle is Lair of the Behemoths, and the key art, which at the time of this recording is the only art we've seen for the set, features Vivian surrounded by a bunch of giant monsters. It's also supposed to have some sort of create your own monster theme. We don't really know what that means, but there's been some speculation that it might be something similar to that unstable mechanic where you could combine monsters. Obviously that one was more humorous, but somehow you're supposed to combine cards and create your own monster, whatever that means. We don't really know much about that, only time will tell, so there's no point in discussing that. But the reason I am so excited for this, and there's a couple reasons, but the first is the monsters. I got into Magic when I was in elementary school, technically. It was around that time that Pokemon was released, and I was in the habit of buying cards with cool pictures on them just to look at, right? That was the whole Pokemon thing. It was like, buy a pack of Pokemon cards and, hey, cool, look, monster things. And then that was it. You bought cards just to have them. I don't know, it was really weird, but I was in that mentality as an elementary school student, but I wasn't like exclusively a Pokemon fan. I just liked opening packs of random cards and seeing cool monsters. So I would buy any kind of trading card game that had cool art on the cover, and Magic was one of the coolest. It had some of the coolest art, it had some of the coolest looking cards. One of the earliest cards I remember opening was a Raging Goblin with this art, and I actually remember comparing it side by side with the Pikachu I had and thinking, yeah, this goblin is just way cooler, look at it. I also remember one of the earliest cards I opened was Scaled Worm, and I was just in awe of it. I didn't know how to play the game, I didn't know how the mechanics worked. I just saw this big giant worm, the flavor text was really cool, and I was like, yeah, I just opened this awesome giant monster that's really cool, even though it's kind of a potato card. But at the time, thought it was the coolest card ever, and yeah, I like that. I even also remember opening a Mercadian Masks tournament pack, and I got a Tidal Kraken, and Tidal Kraken was one of those early cards I opened that I was just like, dang, this card game is so cool, look at this thing. It was so much cooler than like, Pokemon cards. So yeah, that's what got me into Magic. Initially, as an elementary school student, I was just buying it for the art and the cool monsters, which were just cooler than any other game that existed. And that's also why I haven't been very enthusiastic about Magic's themes over the past decade or so, because humans have become the face of the game, not just with planeswalkers, but with legendary creatures as well. And while these have always been part of the game, they've really taken center stage and dominated the themes of Magic the Gathering planes for many years now. And this isn't just supposition either. WotC did write multiple articles years ago during the Great Creature Type update, I forget what it was called, but basically they mentioned multiple times that humans were the driving force behind the game. They were claiming things like people identify and connect with humans more, which is true. Humans tend to like see human faces where there aren't any. There's like a whole subreddit for it, pareidolia, stuff like that. Like, people are more drawn to faces, but that's not why I got into Magic. I got into Magic specifically because it was an otherworldly game with cool monsters and fantasy themes. That's what I liked. I didn't get into Magic because I wanted to see pictures of humans on the cards. I got into Magic because I liked the dragons and the goblins. That's what made it cool. And yeah, definitely humans have to be the driving force behind the story of the game. You can't have a storyline where you're just on a planet with a bunch of non-humans. You still have to have, humans as the plot device, right? You still have to have humans or humanoids driving the plot. Even if they're exploring a planet of, otherworldly creatures, you still need a human foundation, which is how the early game really was. The early game was the planeswalkers going about the multiverse and seeing all kinds of crazy planes, but that's just, it hasn't been the case for a while. And I never really bought into that, people identify with humans, therefore the game should be humans. I just, I like the dragons and the demons and the behemoths. Those are what made me want to buy Magic cards as a kid, and, the fact that they are the spotlight of Ikoria has me super excited. The other thing that has me excited for this set is how little we know about it, which might seem really weird, right? I'm excited by the fact that we don't know anything, but I've made an entire video about this in the past, I've been kind of bored with Magic planes being based on real-world locations for a while now, and when we aren't visiting a new plane that's based on a real-world location, then we're revisiting an old world, right? And don't get me wrong, Greek and Egyptian mythology are super cool. Throne of Eldraine was awesome, I really like that, and I don't doubt we'll eventually go to a Nordic mythology themed set. It's gonna happen sooner or later. But the lack of truly original and inventive planes has left Magic feeling kind of bland. It's like, I feel like they're just retreading old ground, and the lack of creativity in Magic planes has just left it feeling very sort of just generic. It's like not that much different from every other game on the planet. And we still don't know much about Ikoria, so who knows, maybe it will be based on a real world location, but from what we know right now, this is going to be an entirely new plane, which means we have no idea what it's going to look like. That had to happen in a while. Like when Amonkhet came out, it was like, alright, it's going to be Egyptian themed, so we knew there are going to be gods, there are going to be pyramids, there's going to be sand. You know what the set's going to look like basically before it happens, and there are subtleties, but for the most part, when you say, hey, there's going to be an Egyptian themed set, then you immediately know, like, alright, you can picture what it's going to look like. Same thing goes with a Nordic themed set. Like, we don't know when that's going to happen, we assume it will eventually, and when it does, we know what it's going to look like. There's going to be fir trees, there's going to be snow, there's going to be probably stereotypical horned helmets on bearded men, there's going to be giants, the buildings are going to be very thick, heavy wooded buildings. We know, like, right, like, you know what it's going to look like before it's even happened. We don't even know if we're going to go there, but when we do, we know what it's going to look like. And that's what's so exciting about Ikoria, is because I have no idea. I don't know what the forests are going to look like. I don't know what the plains are going to look like. I don't know what the swamps are going to look like. I don't know what's going to be in those places. I don't know what the monsters are going to be. I don't know what they're going to do. I know nothing about this, and that's what's so exciting. That's what made early Magic so fun, even though it was traditional high fantasy, so there were tropes, right? There were elves in the forest and goblins in the mountains, and it's very stereotypical, but there was still like some excitement when a new set would come out, because I would have no idea what the world would look like. I would have no idea what types of creatures were going to be there, and I haven't felt that way in a long time with Magic. So when Wizards of the Coast announces, hey, we're going to an Egyptian themed set, it's like, alright, yep, I get it. Sand, mummies, gods, pyramids, got it. And then the next set, they're like, hey, we're going to the Caribbean. It's like, alright, pirate ships, natives, feathers, tropical islands, got it. And then they're like, hey, we're going back to Theros. And it's like, yep, got it. Theros, been there, know what that's like. So with Ikoria, this is the first time in a long time when I'm like, who the heck knows, right? Who the heck knows what's going to happen? And that's exciting. That sense of the unknown is something that hasn't existed in Magic in what seems like a very long time. So I'm pretty excited for Ikoria, and I'm excited about it because I know nothing about it. That's the irony here. It's because I have no clue what it is, that makes me excited for it. And I could be let down. I'm not saying it's going to be great. I can't sit here right now and say Ikoria is going to have a great theme or great mechanics, because I have no clue. I can't sit here and say that I know that it's going to be good. It could be terrible. The themes could be terrible. The world could be really boring. That's all totally possible. I'm just saying that I'm excited for it ahead of time because of how original, or assumingly original, or at least how little we know about it, right? There's some anticipation that I don't get with normal sets because of the newness, the lack of information, and the fact that this is a brand new world makes me more excited and anticipatory for it than previous sets. So hopefully the set's good. It could flop, and that would suck, because if it doesn't do well, then that probably means we're going to be going back to bland and boring human-based sets and places we've been before, or places that are mimicking real-world locations too strongly, and that sucks. I like that this is something new and interesting, and I hope it succeeds, just because I want to see more of this in the future. But yeah, who knows. Anyway, that's all I have to say about it. Let me know if you feel the same or if I'm just crazy. But in the meantime, thanks for watching everyone, and I will see you in the next one.